Welcome to TRL Radio with your hosts, Eric and Michelle Hall.
Your average Joe experts in simplified health. Welcome back to TRL Radio. We are your hosts, Eric and Michelle. And let's go back to the year 2020.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, indeed. 2020 is a year that will go down in history for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
Good and bad.
Yeah, both good and bad. There was a lot of terrible things that happened that year. A lot of catastrophe, a lot of sickness and death, and families being separated, and lost jobs, and so many countless terrible things. I even just think of like things that weren't as devastating, but like canceled trips and vacations, and I mean, people had to postpone weddings, right?
Well, think about even like, so our son graduated in 2020.
Yep.
It was a different graduation that year.
Very different.
Like, it was way different. And obviously we're talking about, 2020 was the year of COVID. In fact, it was such a mile marker or whatever. Like, now in the lingo, it's, that was before COVID, pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Right.
Like, it's
everything
like this,
we talk about.
Yeah, this mile marker in the sand, right? Pre-COVID, that was before COVID. It was almost like, like how flying changed so much after 9/11, right? It was like, this was before 9/11, right? Oh, this is after 9/11, right? So, I mean, COVID is kind of like that thing now. And like I said, like a lot of terrible, terrible things happen. And we don't want to understate that.
Right. But
at the same time, I guess if you were to ask most people, okay, I'll ask you, like, if you were to ask most people, if you could, again, terrible year, but if you could pick one thing, or if you had to talk about something good that came out of 2020, what would people say? Right.
This was the answer that I'm about to give, because it's the one thing that we kept saying throughout that time, is what we kept hearing everyone else say too, is, man, there was a positive side of everything being canceled.
Yeah.
It meant everything was canceled. All of a sudden we were given time. Whether for good or bad. For some of us, it wasn't great. But for those like that had younger kids and families and things like that, it was kind of like this, okay, I have time again, because life gets busy.
Yeah.
With so many things. And when all of a sudden, after school activities, school in general.
Right, we had 4 kids in 2020, right? I mean, we still have 4 kids.
We still have 4 kids.
We have 4 kids in high school in 2020.
High school, middle school. So like, school was done online. It was canceled for a while while everyone figured out what was going on. There was no after-school activities. There were no sports. There were no jobs. Like, our son worked in the restaurant business. He couldn't work because restaurants weren't open at that point. Everyone was home.
Right.
You worked remote.
Fully remote.
I was home. Like, we were all home. And I know some people would be like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine being home with my whole family. But when you're so busy, especially in the beginning, it was like, oh, this is kind of nice. We're getting to reconnect. We have time on our hands that we have not had in a very long time.
Yeah, and there was even like they did studies of like the globe during 2020. Like the entire planet was quieter. Like the vibrations of the planet were quieter in 2020 because you didn't have cars. Everything was shut down. People were in their houses, and like everything was just quieter and very chaotic in different ways. But when it came to time, simpler. After work, there was nothing to go do. Like, you couldn't play golf. You couldn't go. Like, there was nothing.
Right. And I think
you didn't even leisurely go to the store. Like, let's go to the mall and walk around. Like, parks were closed. Remember?
Yeah.
We took pictures of driving around parks where the basketball rims were, like,
taped off. Yeah.
And there was a sign. I remember I took a picture of it because I'm like, this is a crazy sign. But it was like, the park is closed. And it was, like, middle of the summer.
Yeah. Craziness. And it really drove us to be creative. I remember coming downstairs one morning and seeing our youngest 2 daughters had moved all of the chairs away from the dining room table and had made this makeshift ping pong table. And I don't even think we had ping pong paddles, so I don't remember what they were using.
I can't remember either.
But somehow they had created their own version of ping pong, and the amount of giggles and laughing that, like, I was like, okay, this is kind of awesome.
Right.
Like, you can't be doing all these things that you normally would be doing. So you were creative enough to make this ping pong out of our dining room table. And I was like, okay, this part I like.
Right.
There's a lot of things I do not like. Let's just make that clear. There was a lot of things that I did not like, but that was something I could get behind.
Yeah, and just all the time we had. I remember, like, a lot of people saying, we even said this, like, we are going to be so careful about what we allow back into our life in regards to, like, time.
Right.
Everything was canceled, and so it was almost like from a scheduling standpoint, like this big reset button that we were able to hit. But alas, here we are again, all of us with our busy lives.
Yep, about 6 years later.
Yep.
And how well did we stick to that? Hey, we're not going to let ourselves get so busy again. I think we kind of...
Yeah, right. You ask anybody, right? You ask anybody, like, when you like, oh, hey, friend, how are you doing? Good. Busy.
Busy as usual.
Busy, just, really busy, working at the grind, nose to the grindstone. All right, yep, we're back.
We're back there.
We're back to busy. And today what we talk about is that we don't need another pandemic to teach us to slow down.
Yeah. We're like focusing this episode on unsubscribing.
Yes.
Right? And like you just said, we don't need a pandemic to get us there again. Please, God, no.
Right.
We will learn.
Yeah.
But how can we make these choices to get at least back to a state of, because some of those things we welcome back in, right? Like not having sports as much as they're time consuming, that was sad. Like
right.
We enjoyed watching our kids play sports. We enjoyed going to the park. Like we want those things back in our life. But how do we allow things back into our life that bring us joy and pleasure without allowing all the stuff that causes us nothing but stress?
Right.
And that's what we kind of want to hit on today is, how do we unsubscribe to the things that are just causing chaos in our life?
Right. And how do we, in doing that, create this margin, right? This room to move and breathe and to be flexible in our lives so that every second of every day, forget being planned. Sometimes we're double booked for minutes and hours in a day where we're leaving one thing early to get to another thing on time. And
we're stressing over how can I possibly be in two places at once? Because I need to be, because this is how I've gotten myself into this, but I can't. But I'll figure it out. And that stress just constantly is building. It's always there. We're just living in this stressful, overscheduled chaos world.
Yeah, remember during COVID, I don't know, it's probably how we were like fighting for toilet paper.
Yes.
Like,
why toilet paper?
I guess we all need toilet paper. But
right.
I don't know, they just popped in my head. It was kind of a random thought.
It was the first time that I was like, yes, this is where like survival skills, because I buy in bulk. I'm just that person who always is stocked up. So as people are scrambling.
There's 6 people in our family.
Right. So like I'm always buying the giant Costco size, thing of toilet paper. And I think I had just gone shopping. So I was like, guys, I'm stocked. Anybody needs toilet paper? We're good.
I don't know. It just popped in my head. I was like, man, like there were so many weird things in toilet paper.
Toilet paper was
Toilet paper was like gold. Anyhow.
Yep.
So,
Good times.
We want to reclaim some margin back in our lives. But before we do that, right, let's start looking at like, well, how did we get to where we're at now, right? We had COVID. Everything was this reset. And like we just said, we're back. How did we get here, right? What are some of the different things? So let's talk about some of the different things like that. So one of them being is that we're all always trying to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, I don't know who the Joneses are.
Right? How come these jerks that we have to live up to them all the time?
We all got to be like the Joneses. Screw you, Joneses.
Right? Seriously.
But we all want to keep up with the Joneses. Obviously, we know that phrase, right? Is that our neighbors are doing all these things that we're like, oh my gosh, if they're doing them, they look so happy.
Yeah.
We need to be doing them too.
Right. And I think social media is such a huge part in that now because we get this window into people's life, but it's only the window they have open.
Correct.
Only the one they want us to peek into, which is like everything's perfect and little Johnny and Susie are involved in everything and look at how great they are and look how happy we are. But we don't see through the other windows when, everyone's screaming, the house is a mess, dinner is, non-existent, whatever. Like, we only see the best. And so we're trying to keep up with this picture of the perfect family that we think exists. And it's not even really true.
Right. And the picture that we create is probably even more perfect than what the pictures they're posting, right? Like, we're like, oh, look, they never fight. They're perfect. They're in perfect love and all this different stuff. And then hopefully they are, right?
Right.
But their life is not your life. And what works for them might not necessarily work for you. But we all are trying to keep up with the Joneses. And so we end up saying yes to things that we feel like it's the cool thing to do, right?
Well, we all want to give our kids the sun and the moon and the stars, right? And we can't say no. You can.
Yeah,
Believe it or not,
Johnny
you can.
we don't know why it's little Johnny, little Susie,
I
or
know.
whatever. Is, captain of the football team and, plays drums in the band and, is lead singer and he's also, the star of the musical. And you look at your kid and you're just like, yo, man, we got to get you in all the classes so you're that too because this is apparently what we're supposed to be doing. Oh, and he's also getting straight A's, right?
Right, yeah.
So we have this idea that we got to keep up with whoever. And that's the thing. The Joneses is always a moving line because once you keep up with the Joneses, a new Joneses will show up and it's like, oh, well, now we need to be like them. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's also this thing we call FOMO, right?
FOMO.
Serious FOMO going on. Fear of missing out. I know that strikes me like I don't want to miss out.
Right.
Like I want to be a part of all the things. Someone invites me out somewhere, I might have the craziest day and be absolutely exhausted, but I'm like, oh, but if I don't go and all my friends go, what if they have all these cool inside jokes and now I'm not a part of that?
I tell you what, the panic of missing out on an inside joke is a real thing.
Right? Truly it is. At 45 years old, I still don't want to,
Right, the worst thing you can ever hear is like, oh, you had to be there.
You had to be there. Shut up. Yeah. Please don't do that to me. It kills my soul.
Right.
Like, yeah, you don't want to miss out. You want to be a part of all of the things, and we get it. But we can't be a part of all of the things. We have to choose what things we want to be a part of and maybe not choose some, or else we'll go crazy.
Well, that's it, right? Is that you're always, everybody, not just every person on the planet is going to miss out on something at some point, multiple points, because you just can't do everything. There's far too many things to do. But in this effort to not miss out, to not miss out on the memories and to miss out on the jokes and to miss out, all great things, we end up overcommitting ourselves, stressing out. And then even when we do those things, how present are we? Because we're just exhausted.
Right.
All right, so fear of missing out. So something else is like, and this is a very real thing too, is like this people-pleasing mindset of, well, I can't say no. Like, that's going to hurt their feelings. Right. I don't want to make anybody upset. And I think that this is maybe one of the biggest reasons why we're back at this overbooked life now is because we just don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Right. Yeah, like you ask me to do something and I say no, man, I'm really letting you down as a friend, as a wife, as a husband, like whatever it is. Yeah, just that feeling of being like, man, but they're counting on me. How can I not say yes? Like, yeah, you're so afraid of disappointing people.
Right. And right now we're just obviously like we're presenting a lot of like problems, right? We have solutions coming, so hang in there. But one of the things, like, just to even touch on a little bit, is that idea of not wanting to disappoint people is that when we say yes to something or we agree to something that we don't want to do, that doesn't make sense for us, for whatever. And let me just pause. We all got to do things we don't want to do on a regular basis, right? Because it's just part of life, right? It's the whole idea, you see the memes, right? Like, don't want to go adulting today, right? Like, there's things that we have to do every single day that aren't fun. But if we can minimize those, that'd be amazing. And so, of not wanting to let someone down, if we're saying yes to something, and then we're just like, ugh, but we did let someone down. It might sound cheesy, but you let yourself down.
Right.
You are now giving a part of yourself to something that you don't want to. And inevitably, because of that, you're disappointed in yourself. Like, and we have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. I have here, like, in an effort to not let someone else down, we can often end up disappointing ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, think about that in the workplace, right?
Yeah.
If you have,
that's huge.
if you have a demanding boss, or even if they're not demanding, but they're asking you to do things constantly, and you're constantly saying yes. And you think, well, this is my job. I have to say yes to my boss. Okay, you were hired for certain things. You're being compensated for certain things. When it goes above and beyond that, or there's just so many things that are being asked of you that it's become, it's now interfering with your home life.
Right.
That's a problem. For one, now your boss knows anytime they come to you, you'll say yes. So guess who they're going to keep coming to?
Right.
You, right? And at the same time, you're not going to be doing your best. You can't. If you're overtaxed with a bunch of demands at work, like, you're never going to be able to be giving them your best. And then by the time you get home, how do you give your best at home?
Right. Which is, if you ask anybody, like, what's the most important thing to you? Almost everybody, job is not the first thing they say.
Right.
It's usually my family. But because we're so overstressed, overbooked, overworked at work, when we get home, it can be, we have very little left to give to our family. The thing that we've said is the most important, right?
Right.
And again, we have strategies coming at the end here, but something else too is, again, talk about how do we get here, is we are suckers for sacrificing what's best for what's good.
Right.
There are so many good requests that come our way every single day. And in our minds, we feel like we're bad people if we say no to some of these things. But sometimes what's good is not what's best. And that takes a little bit of wisdom. Hopefully you have people you can talk with about it. But man, that we can end up getting overbooked with a bunch of good things, but they might not be the best for us, right? Just because the request is good does not mean you have to say yes. Because if you say yes to something, you have to be saying no to something else. Because listen, we all only got 24 hours in one day, 7 days in 1 week, and 365 days in 1 year. That's all we got. And so you can't, there's no, it's not like the Marvel universe where there's multiple timelines, right? Where you're like, well, in this timeline I'm going to do here, but at the exact same time in this timeline I'm doing, you can't.
Which thankfully that doesn't exist. At least, I mean, you talk to some people, maybe they think it does. I'm going by that it doesn't, because that would be a lot.
There's a multiverse version of Michelle Hall somewhere else doing something else right now.
That is too much to keep track of. I can barely keep track of this universe. I'm just going to stick with the one that I know. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question comes down to then, okay, we got here. Why does it matter? Like, we have this hustle culture. We have this work hard, culture, which is great. Work hard, stressed out to the max, every minute booked. Who cares? Like, is that essentially
just
a bad thing?
Right. Like, everyone's doing it, and we're all surviving.
Right. So why does it matter? I mean, there's a ton of reasons, but like a couple of them that we, mentioned here is that we just kind of started alluding to is like, whenever you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Like you said, there's no multiverse there. So
yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Well, no, like if I say yes to someone doing something on a Tuesday evening that I don't typically do, I'm saying yes, but maybe that Tuesday evening is the one night that week that I have to actually have a dinner with my whole family. Yep. And so by saying yes to this, I'm saying no to family meal time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's giving up things like sleep. And we think, oh, again, we'll sleep when we're dead, right? Like, how many times do you hear that being said? Okay, if you wait to sleep until then, you will find death much faster, right? Like, I want the years that I have to be good quality, and to have that, I'm going to need good quality sleep.
Yep.
They just go hand in hand.
Oh, it's literally the foundation of health.
And obviously, there's things that come up and they take you from sleep, and because they're just more important in that moment, and I get it. You have a kid that needs to be rushed to urgent care. You can't say, oh, but honey, I really need my beauty sleep. You're going to have to sleep. Can we take you in the morning? No, you take your kid to urgent care.
Put some pressure on the wound. We'll take care of it in the morning.
We'll be fine. You won't bleed out. It's fine. There's things that are more important. But you really have to think through, okay, is going out and hanging with people, bowling until midnight on a work, night, is that what's most beneficial? Or do I need to get sleep because the next day my kids are counting on me, my job is counting on me, my spouse is counting on me, like all these different responsibilities I have. Is staying out until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning really going to be worth it at that moment? And you have to weigh that. Sometimes it is.
Right.
Sometimes you're like, screw it. Yep, I'm just going to do this. But you do that on a regular basis. Man, that's gonna add up.
Yeah, I think sometimes we think the things, like, because you heard the phrase, right? Like we've said it a few times now. Saying yes to something inevitably means you're saying no to something else. At a quick listen or a quick hearing, that you can think, oh, if I'm saying yes to this, then that means when someone else asks something of me later, I'll already be booked and I can't say yes to it. Okay, yes, that is true. But I think the things that we often say no to are those things you just mentioned that aren't officially on the calendar, right? The family dinners, the quality sleep. It doesn't even got to be dinner, like just time with your family game night. How about just time alone doing nothing, right? Of just catching your breath, reading, meditating, praying, of just calming down. Those are the things that we're saying no to without even thinking about it, because no one's really asking you, hey, have you scheduled time alone? Hey, did you schedule your family dinners? Which we've talked about before. Like, if you're not, you need to be looking to schedule family dinners and then mark them in there as non-negotiables.
Right.
Like, good quality sleep. Hey, just kind of a side note here, like, I would aim for everybody to be in bed, laying in your bed as many nights a week as you can for 8 hours. That doesn't mean you're going to be getting 8 hours of sleep, but you'll hopefully at least be getting 7 hours of sleep if you can be laying in your bed for 8 hours.
Right.
That's important to so many things, right? You talk about wanting to satiate your hunger, get sleep. You want to talk about being your best self, get sleep. And those are the things that we end up saying no to when we're overcommitting ourselves, these things that are going to make us better versions of ourselves. We were talking about this as we were talking through this podcast, that the number one things that like our families need most is together time, specifically family dinner times. That's like one of the things that we need the most of. And that's one of the first things that gets wiped off the table.
Yep, absolutely. The amount of families or kids even that we've talked to are like, oh yeah, my family never has, dinner together, or, oh yeah, maybe once a week. Well, like that's just the cultural norm now. And that's a sad thing that's what the first thing that goes. Like you said, that's the first thing that's sacrificed so that we can do more stuff.
Right. Answer more emails if you're at work, right? Like, know, or stroll more TikToks, right?
Right.
I mean, so yeah, that's some of the things when we say yes to things that we're saying no to those things. And those things are not just us saying this in our opinion, but our science backed of the most important things.
Right.
Literally in the world.
Yeah, like this whole hustle culture that we live in is honestly killing us. And as I share the statistic, right, over 70% of all sick visits to the doctors are stress related. As I say that, as I've been coughing and drinking water during this episode because I ended up getting sick last week.
Sicko.
I know. And why did I get sick? Because this past month was one of the most stressful months we've had.
Yeah, February 2026, not a banner month for the halls.
No, like it just seemed like there was thing after thing after thing, and we just couldn't keep our head above water. Like, and it was a lot of stuff we couldn't control. It wasn't even things that we were putting on the schedule. It was things that were happening to us that we were like, okay, I guess we got to deal with this now. Well, I guess we got to deal with this now too. And so there was a lot of stress there. And then I've said this before, I work with kids. Came into contact with the first group of kids that had, their sickness going around, and I got it hard.
Right.
Like instantly came home and I was like, oh my gosh, like I had to call off the next day because I'm like, I can't stop coughing. My head is throbbing. And why was I sick? Yes, I came into contact with something, but I work with kids all the time. How come I don't get sick every time I come into contact with kids? Well, because my immune system is up. Why was my immune system down this time? Because I was stressed.
Yep.
Because I just had dealt with a month's worth of stress. And my immune system was like, time out. We can't do this anymore. And I got sick.
We literally just did a whole podcast on stress, like a whole masterclass on stress. Like we'll tag it, in the show notes. But stress crushes our immunity.
Yeah.
And then all it takes is something small and we're down for the count. Like, highly recommend listening to that. This is almost like taking that and like diving in a little bit deeper
Stress
here,
part
right?
2.
Yeah. Think about 7 in 10. 7 in 10 people who go to the doctor because they're sick, it's because something that's stress related, right? So chronic stress leads to cortisol levels that are chronically high, which leads to chronic inflammation, which ultimately leads to sickness and disease. So why does this matter? Being so stressed out and overbooked and overscheduled? Because we're literally killing ourselves with how busy we are. Like, we are doing ourselves a severe detriment.
Yeah, our health takes a major hit because we don't have margin.
Right.
Because we don't leave time. Like you had said earlier, like, time to be alone. And I think that's so underrated because even when we are alone, we don't know what to do with ourselves.
Right.
Like, I mean, think about, we've mentioned this before, a commercial comes on as we're watching, a show or whatever, and instantly we go to our phones. Because It's like we can't just sit there for 3 minutes without something to do. And I'm guilty of that, right?
Same.
Like, I need to constantly be entertained, constantly be doing something. My hands need to be doing something. I'm playing games. I'm doing whatever. Okay, let me just sit with my thoughts.
Go to the bathroom. Gotta have your phone.
Gotta have your phone.
Waiting in line for a second at the grocery store, grab your phone. Like, we always gotta be doing something. So time alone with our thoughts, did that even happen? And if so, what do we do with it? Right.
Yeah.
So and those are things that we really gotta be mindful of, because no one wakes up in the morning and says, you know what? I want to overbook myself, overstress myself, get sick until I can't do things.
Right.
And so for all the best intentions that we talked about before, like how did we get here? All great intentions. But then it ends up making us sick. Okay, so what are the solutions, right?
Great. How do we fix
you guys
it?
have identified all the problems. Cool. All right.
We don't want to leave you there.
How do we fix it? So what we have here are some strategies for saying no. Some strategies to unsubscribe. Side note, if you get a bunch of emails that you don't like, at the very bottom of every email, there's an unsubscribe button. Sometimes emails can stress you out. I'm not talking about work emails, but like, to whatever account you have where you're just like, man, I got 1,000 emails. Unsubscribed. Okay,
Yep.
Here's how you can unsubscribe to some different things in your life. Okay, so strategy saying no. For one, be okay asking for time to decide and then confirming in time. You'll have to know someone's asking you to do something, right?
Right.
Let's play this out.
Okay.
All right, you ask me to do something.
All right. Hey, Eric, I'm moving on Saturday. Would you be willing to help me, move this Saturday?
No, I hate you.
Wow.
Moving is the worst.
Wow, true story. And if you have a truck, you're always the person who's being asked, right?
Right.
But, okay, so,
Right, so like legitimately, right? So
if I'm a
question,
friend and coming, okay, that's not a bad thing. Someone needs help, right? Your friend needs help.
Right.
Okay.
So my response would be like, oh my gosh, Michelle, thanks so much for thinking of me. Let me go back and check with my schedule and check with my wife, Michelle, who looks a lot like you, actually.
She's probably
and just
pretty
to
hot.
see what else we might have going on. And I can let you know. You said it's this weekend. Is it okay if I let you know by the end of the day today what's going on? Would that work?
Yep, that sounds great. Thanks.
Something as simple as that, right? So I didn't say no. I also didn't say immediately yes. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we're friends. Of course I'm going to help you.
Or, yeah, let me double check, but I'm almost positive I can do it.
Right.
Because then they're kind of counting on you, right?
That's literally me right there, what you just said all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's fine. I'll check, but I'm sure it's fine.
You gave yourself an appropriate amount of time to check your schedule and to listen. I know this gets made fun of all the time, right? Well, I have to go home and ask my husband. I have to go home and ask my wife.
Gotta ask the boss.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, go ahead. Listen, if you live with someone, you're sharing a life with them. That is a question you should be asking them, as they should you. That is not a bad thing. That you should not be getting knocked for wanting to ask the person you spend the majority of your time with.
To check in with the person that you share a calendar and life with. Let me make sure. I mean, let's play it out the opposite. Say you didn't, and you were always saying yes to things, and I was always saying yes to things, and then we came home at the end of the day,
Like,
and I was like, oh, hey, babe, I just committed us to these 7 things. You're like, oh, yeah, that's cool, because I committed us to these 7 things, and now we got to go back and tell somebody no.
Right.
Or
we got to do all these now, and we're never going to see each other because we have to be in different places. So it's not a bad thing. Ask the people you live with, whether kids or spouse or partner, whatever, like, ask the people you live with. That's not a bad thing. And if someone's like, oh, okay, we know what that means, you know what? Maybe spend less time with them because they just don't understand your life.
And then after you have that conversation, right?
Right.
After you have that conversation, whether it be, hey, yes, that can work out, or hey, no, I don't think we're going to. I mean, how many times have I said yes to things and you've been like, yep, we already got something going on that day. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, crap.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that after you do that, if you can't, like part of it is just checking in, and then also too, it gives you time to evaluate, can I actually give my attention and time to this?
Right.
Because if you can't give the right amount of attention and time to something, then saying yes is not fair to the person who's asking you either, because there's someone else who probably can.
Right.
Right. The situation you said with moving, right? Hey, I can be there for an hour, not much more than that. I'm going to be there this time, I'll leave at this time, whatever, right? Oh, I can be there the whole time. If you can't be there the whole time, then don't say you can, right? So by answering that way, like we just said, let me go check. It gives you time to kind of evaluate, can I really do this? Da, 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 da. And then get back to them with your answer. And if you can do it, great. Hey, thanks so much. I went and checked. I'm totally available then. I'll be there this time. It'll be amazing, whatever. If you can't, right? This is for the people pleasers in the house, right? We talked about it earlier. The people who just, I hate disappointing. I don't want to say no. This person's going to hate me for the rest of my life if I say no to them. They've helped me before. I really should. All those things. The cat of the response is, hey, again, thanks so much for thinking of me. This time, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm already double booked at that time. Please think of me again. This happen, if this comes back up, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
That's not a bad response.
Nope.
I don't know anyone who would take that and be angry. And if they are, again, maybe there's some other issues there. But like, if someone came to me and said that, I'm like, oh, that was a very respectful, like they actually tried, they thought about it, they did exactly what they said they were going to do. And it's someone that I know I can go to the next time.
Right. They did just say yes. They're not, if they do say yes to it, I know they're going to be there.
Right.
They're going to be present, and they're going to be, helping move or whatever the situation just happens to be, right? So just give yourself margin of that. And again, like all this is in like, maybe you don't have anything going. So like my response is I'm already booked that day, right? If you're not booked, don't lie. Just say, hey, I just can't commit to this at this time, right? I can't commit to that at this time. And maybe you have nothing going on when they asked you to. But it's one of the few times that you have nothing going on. It's okay to say no to someone and not have an alternate plan.
Right.
Hey, I'm going to rest. I'm going to be with my family. I'm going to dinner. Like all those other things that we said. That is okay. You do not have to have something else on the schedule to say no to somebody.
Right.
And part of it's like we just got to get okay with that. Right? We've got to get okay with that. We got to get okay with having that margin to be able to build that in.
There have literally been times where I've been asked to do something, or even things like subbing at the school where it's like, hey, we have these days coming up, are you available? Sometimes I just look at the weather and I'm like, oh, Monday's going to be a beautiful day and I haven't been outside in a bit. I'm not going to work on that day because I want to be able to be outside. So when, the kids are going to be home, Eric's going to be home, like we could go for a walk, we could do this, we could do that. I don't know what's going to happen yet. But I'll take Tuesday and Thursday because it's supposed to rain on those days. Monday, I want to, like things like that. Like I'm not making a plan, but I just want that day to be open just in case. Just in case.
Right.
And I know that exact situation, right? You can't say, I'm not going to work today all the time. But there's things like that come up. And it's like, it's okay to just leave that margin there to say, hey, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I know I want to leave that day available or that time or whatever.
What I hear you saying here is that one of the things that'd be helpful in building margin into our lives is some planning.
Oh, planning.
Right?
Yep.
Looking ahead and being like, hey, what is going on? Of checking in with your spouse, with your family, people who live under your roof of like, hey guys, what's everyone's schedule look like this week? So we know what's going on where are we going to be busy? Where are we not going to be busy? What can we say yes to? What can we not? And then being able to work that way. You'll find that most things, when it comes to doing them well and successfully, there's some planning that's involved.
Right.
Communicating that's involved. That makes things way easier. So.
Absolutely. We brought up that example of in the workplace.
Right.
Right. You have a boss who just keeps asking you a million things, you know, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do this? And you're like, okay, like I'm doing my job. I already have a million things that my job consists of. And now you're piling on 6 more. How do you handle a situation like that? Like, this is your boss. He held your livelihood in his hand or her hand, right? So, like, how do you handle a situation like that of, well, can I say no to my boss? Is that a thing? Like, am I allowed? You know, is that a fireable offense? You know, how do you respectfully decline when your boss is giving you too many things?
Right. So one of the things that I've found that has been helpful for me in doing that, and again, sometimes we have unruly, unmanageable bosses. That's not where I'm at right now, which is great. But is to put together a list of all the things you're working at. And this is not to shove anyone's nose or anything like that. But hey, here's all the projects and things that I have to get done that you've already said are important to me. You want me to do these couple other things. Cool. Take a look at what we're already working on here. What do you want me to shift out? What deadlines can we move? What things can be taken off my plate so I can do these couple things that you're adding on to it? Super respectful. Not that you're trying to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I have 1,000 things going on. He's adding more, blah, 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 blah. And then you can work through with your boss. Oh, hey, yeah, I do see you got to go on. You know what? Hey, let me talk to this person and see this. This one isn't quite as important. This one got moved. Let's move this one to the end of next quarter. If we can get this thing done now, I know it's urgent, but you know, it's a last minute thing. And you work together at building a plan to say, I only have so much bandwidth. I can't add more to it. So if this is something that's important to get done, you just got to let me know what other things are less important that we can put off for a little bit. It's respectful. It does go through. Maybe your boss isn't aware of all the things you're doing, and they're like, oh gosh, okay, that's pretty sweet. I didn't realize you had all that going on, whatever. But I found that to be a pretty respectful way in working together and being able to say no to your boss, or okay, sure, but what else needs to move?
Yeah, do things need to be delegated to other people? Like, okay, if these are things that I have to be the one doing, then maybe these are things that I don't have to be the one doing. So who can we delegate that to? Like you said, I feel like that's a really respectful way that your boss can look at it and say, okay, cool, I see that you are working with me and not against me. It's not a complaining, well, these are all the things I'm doing, so, you know, hands in the air, what exactly do you expect me to not do? It's not this attitude of, you know, yeah. So I think that that's a really good example of how to handle that in a workplace.
How about this, quitting? Not your job, maybe your job, depending on, you know, but of quitting things, right? There's things that we get involved in that at one time were super valuable, super important to us, but now they aren't anymore. Maybe your life's changed. Maybe the reason why you got involved with it is no longer, not that it's not important to you anymore, but not as important or whatever, especially for the time that's being required. What are some strategies for quitting?
Right. And like you just said, like, it's okay to quit.
Yep.
Right. I always think of, you know, Marie Kondo. I don't know if anyone's ever watched that. I think it was on Netflix. Right. Like, she would always, you know, hold the item, and if it doesn't bring you joy, then, you know, thank the item and put it away. Like, it's okay if something isn't bringing you joy. So maybe it's, you know, activities that you started years ago that you loved and now you don't, or now it's just become a hassle or a time thing. Those are the things it's okay to quit. But here's what we want to say is, like, a lot of those things you can't just up and quit.
Right. Peace,
I'm out. And that's okay. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm stuck.
Right.
That just means maybe there's a process to it. So, you know, maybe it's something that you have a leadership role in that is just taking too much time away. Like, when it started, it was only 2 hours a week, and now it's becoming more or whatever. And you're like, yeah, this is just something I can't give my time to. So again, approaching whoever's in charge respectfully, like, hey, I can no longer give this 100%. I know there are people who can. And so can I work with someone who can take my place. I will stay on as long as you need me to, within a reasonable amount of time. It shouldn't take, 6 months to replace something, that's a volunteer, thing. But hey, like, I'll work with someone over the next couple weeks, month, make sure that they're comfortable taking it over. And once they are, they'll step into that and I'll be able to step down. So maybe it's not a hard stop, but you can put, again, the P word, you can put a plan in place, right, to make that exit a little bit more smooth.
Yeah, and that's perfect, and that's super respectful, but we also got to take inventory of our lives and what are we doing that's not as important to us anymore. That when you look at it, you're going, ugh, and it's not something you have to do, right? I get that most of us would get up in the morning and we have to go to work. We wake up and we go, ugh, but we got to make a living, right? What are things that aren't something that you have to do that you wake up and you feel that and you're like, oh, I have this. All right, maybe those are things you can kind of start backing away from. So
absolutely.
Yeah, great. And one thing I want to mention, so kind of as like we're wrapping up here, right? Like you mentioned earlier that this past February was just crazy for us. Not that we're perfect with this by any stretch or whatever, because we can be the ones who are overcommitted, have too many things going on, so on and so forth. But it was really good to have some margin to deal with the things that we had to deal with. To be able to say, okay, like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move this. Because we had some craziness to deal with, right? And everything is great now, but we had some craziness. So like, why is this margin so important? Well, we already talked about the doctors and our health, how much it's going to help with our health.
Right.
But also, too, it gives us room to deal with the unexpected. Like the craziness that comes to life. If we're minute by minute scheduled, the craziness that comes into our life is going to break us.
Right.
Right? That's one of the reasons why,
Yeah. When we have this margin, it gives us room to adjust, right? Like, oh, I don't have anything planned for this. So this thing that just came out of nowhere and is taking place of this, well, I can now move this to this. Like, it gives you room to adjust and move and plan for the unplannable, right? And again, we talked about like the emergency doctor visit in the middle of the night because your kid, is sick or something like that. Like, those are things that are going to happen.
Right.
Like, that's not the chaos we're talking about, but we're talking about things that come up that it's like, oh, friends of ours are flying in from out of town that we haven't seen in 5 years and they want to know if we can do dinner. Okay, well, we had this scheduled, but this thing can be moved to this now.
Right.
And, we have this time open. And even just, so there's like these spontaneous things. Leaving room open allows also for those special moments that you can't create, you can't plan for.
Right.
I think of like times where we've been able to go on a walk together, like because we just had some free time and we're like, it's a nice day. Like, let's just go for a walk. And the conversations that have happened during that time, times where we've been able to go out with just one of the kids and have, a one-on-one time, where if there was no margin built in, that spontaneous one-on-one time would not have happened.
Right.
And the like memories that were made, the conversations that were had, the relationship that was deepened because we allowed ourselves to have that time.
Yeah, the things like, hey, Dad, let's go play basketball for a minute.
Right.
Hey, let's just, have this conversation. All those things. Hey, what do you guys got going on right now? Let's run to a coffee shop real quick. Like, those things are able to happen. And they're not planned, and they're not these big, giant events, but having margin makes room for them. Not when like, hey, Dad, can you play basketball? Ugh, I got to go here now.
Yeah.
I can't because I got to go here.
But how about later? Oh, well, after that, I got this, and I got this, and I got this, and I got this, and the list goes on.
Yeah. And then maybe, I don't want to say the most important, definitely very important, is just it gives us time to rest.
Right.
Right? If there's nothing else going on, it gives you time to rest, right? I'm not saying that you got to take a nap. Maybe you do got to take a nap. But just having a few minutes or a few moments by yourself just to sit and be with your thoughts or to read or listen to music or just whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's so important.
Right. I know some of our favorite moments are when we realize we have a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon and nothing's going on. And we literally just sit and read or take a nap or watch something or go for a walk or like... Man, we had nothing to do. That was glorious. Let's do more of that.
Let's do more nothing.
Like, Yeah, some weekends are crazy. And it's a lot of good things sometimes, but those weekends where we don't have a lot, man, that feels good. Like it felt good to just not do anything for a little while.
Right. One of the things I want to quickly mention, and then we'll get into our rudimentary ritual here, is what works for somebody might not work for you, right? So again, we talked about the Joneses before, right? Of like their life, just like in health, there's no one diet that works for everybody, right? There's some things, there's building blocks that kind of work for everybody, but there's no one. So don't look at other people, don't look at other families and say like, oh, they're doing all this and they seem happy, I should probably do it. No. What works for you and your family?
Right.
And do a lot more of that. What brings your family joy? Do those things, right? Just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean, just because their kids are involved in 17 things, they could actually be like just thriving, which is amazing. Doesn't mean that if you do those same things, you'd be thriving. Right? There's people who, from the health standpoint, who are, vegan and thriving. That wouldn't work for me. There's people who I know who are carnivore and thriving. Again, that wouldn't work for me. So don't try to mimic somebody else. See what things and building blocks they're using and then build your own thing, right? We don't have to be like everybody else. Still got to stop the comparison.
Yeah.
So
no, I love that.
Yeah.
That's good. On that note,
yeah.
Again, we always end with a rudimentary ritual.
Rudimentary ritual.
Ritual.
Rudimentary ritual.
Yes. So what is our rudimentary ritual today?
Kind of goes with that planning, right? Of every at least quarter, I know that you and I get together and take a look at our schedule, take a look at how we're spending money, and then kind of start thinking, is the way we're spending time and money helping us become what we want to be? Are we spending it the way we want? Are there things that we're saying we need to pull away from because they've become too much? Things that we're like, oh, we need to double down on this one a little bit more,
right. Whatever.
But just kind of reviewing our schedule and seeing where do we need to unsubscribe, and things like that. We do it together. Then also like we talk about it with our family, and I tell you what, if you listen to your kids, and I'm not saying that that we're perfect by this by any stretch, but if you listen to your kids, they can give you good feedback. Ask your kids, based upon how we spend our time and money, what would you say is most important to us? And then just listen.
Right. Answers might surprise you.
Right. And they might be super encouraging, and maybe they're not, and that's okay. That's why you can always
just
pivot.
Adjust.
Yeah, you pivot, you change, right? So that's it. You kind of like every quarter, just looking at things, where do we need to adjust? And there's always adjustment because we're just not doing things perfectly. So
right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Recipe.
Yeah. Recipe for today. So we're going to share our banana bread recipe, which is actually a recipe that when we got married, a friend from college gave me this recipe on an index card, and it was one of the most simple things I've ever done. And I've kind of changed it and morphed it into a little bit healthier, a little bit yummier, but the original recipe was already fire. But it's a simple, no guilt, uncomplicated dessert / breakfast, because it's bananas, so it's basically healthy. But like we do dark chocolate in it, and it's sometimes I'll do it as muffins, which is also nice because it's an on the go. I said banana bread.
Did you say banana bread?
I've said it like 3 times,
okay.
Eric.
I was like waiting to hear banana bread, and I didn't hear it. But
it was the first thing I said. Oh my gosh. Do you ever listen to the words I say? Just kidding. Let's fight on a podcast in front of everyone.
Well, I mean...
I said it's banana bread, guys. Okay. Banana bread.
Well, I mean, we have the proof, so we'll be able to go back and listen and be like, oh gosh, she didn't say it 17 times. I didn't hear it. So.
I'm pretty sure I've said it like 18 now. Okay. At least 18. Banana bread. It's delicious.
What is the recipe again?
Did I say it's banana bread? But no, everyone that's had it, even if there's people that don't like bananas, we have one daughter who doesn't like bananas at all, but she loves banana bread. Right. So it's super simple. Literally mix everything together. You don't even need a blender. You just use a spoon, mix it all together, pour it in a pan, pop it in the oven. So easy, so delicious. It's my most favorite banana bread that I've ever had.
Yeah, it's very good. We'll have the link to the recipe right in the show notes as well. You can always go to our website, rudimentarylife.com, click on the recipe, tab, and all the recipes are there.
Yep.
But yeah, it is delicious. I'm just thinking about like having it like out of the toaster oven with a little bit of butter.
Oh yeah, if you like grill it, toast it, whatever, put a little butter. Butter makes everything better.
Sounds so good. A little bit of
Yes,
coffee.
I think
with
I
that.
need to make some of that now.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, that's our show. Really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hope you found some things valuable that you can apply to your life, that you can implement in your family's life. I mean, this is an important topic, right? We're going to be removing some stress, building in some margin. We hope you found some ways to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And if you did, feel free to share it out on all the socials. Tag us.
Please do.
Yep. Please tag us. Share it with your friends, your family. If you found anything valuable and how you're implementing it in your life, that's always a huge encouragement to us. And yeah, we hope you will join us for the next episode.
Yeah.
Lots more to come.
Sharing is caring. Please share it out. Guys, we have a ton coming up. Really excited about some of the things we have coming up. Some guests we have coming that are going to blow your mind.
Absolutely.
So stick with us.
Yep. Stay tuned.
Have a great day. Thanks for listening. If you want more of Eric and Michelle Hall and TRL Radio in your life, and honestly, who doesn't, head over to theRudimentaryLife.com.
There, you'll be able to find all the things, show notes, videos, step-by-step instructions for each recipe, more ways to connect with us and join in with whatever shenanigans we're getting into.
Yeah, and for extra credit, leave us a rating on your favorite listening app. We definitely appreciate all the love.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.